Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and my two co-hosts, Mark Homp and Nam Phan, are off today from Pacific Private Money. I do have a special guest who I'll introduce in just a minute here. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate given away during this show. And that certificate is not sponsored by the radio station, but by Tan Bella Tanning Salon, with 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. And by the way, if you win the tanning certificate, it's worth $100. So that's a pretty nice gift to win on a trivia contest. Today's trivia theme is miscellaneous trivia. And today we have a special guest on our Zoom station, so to speak. Commercial real estate broker Greg Galasso. And Greg has actually been my broker for many years and has done me right. So I wanted to invite him on here to have us talk about commercial real estate and what's going on. He's primarily in the Silicon Valley. And so without further ado, Greg Galasso, welcome to The Best of Investing. Okay.
Thanks, Edward. Thanks for having me on.
All right. We have a
good to see you again.
Absolutely. It's great. It's always great seeing you. So we've got a list of questions here that I'd like to go through with you. So first of all, what industries are growing even in this COVID world?
So right now, what we're seeing the most movement in is the logistics, the just-in-time delivery. All of those large-scale players are doing extremely well. They're leasing a lot of properties, and now some are even moving towards buying. But what it's done is it's really shrunk the amount of available space in the industrial market.
I was going to say it's mostly in the
current vacancy
market, right? It'd be mostly in the industrial market, I would think, because of all the supply stuff going there and then getting shipped out. But those spaces, I mean, you got to be talking about pretty large spaces, I would think.
Yeah. So, you've seen large scale leases from all those players that are in that. And now they're even moving towards buying properties. So some fairly significant transactions are in the process of occurring. But we're talking about millions of square feet of industrial, where, we didn't think for a long time that industrial development would happen here in Silicon Valley, but the prices have risen on the land values to where even some of the older, antiquated research and development buildings that were built in the 80s and maybe even early 90s are being demolished to make way for these new warehouse buildings to service these needs. And the growth has been exponential.
Are they primarily
millions and millions and millions of square feet?
Okay. Are they primarily close to the airport? Is that kind of a major, like the San Jose airport, or does it really matter? Just more convenient to the freeway?
I would say it's more convenient to the freeways just because the properties in and around the airport are more office than they are warehouse. So you're seeing some areas, closer to the 680 in the 880 corridor, where you've seen it just really, really, really grow.
How much per
large scale projects?
How much per square foot are you generally seeing the rents go for?
We're seeing the rents now approaching almost $1, between $1.35 and about $1.50 for a warehouse building.
Wow.
For a new one. And we think that the rents will continue to rise as the needs continue, and the land is still scarce. They're looking at large plots of land in the 20-acre plus, and there's just not that many of those. So anything that was vacant was been purchased and developed. Now you're seeing buildings raised for the new ones to be built,
And when you say raised,
and
you
that
mean
seems to be the current trend.
You mean RAZED, raised. Okay, we're going to cut to our first commercial break.
RAZED, correct.
That's right. All right, here's our first trivia question here. In what movie is $200,000 of Confederate gold buried in a grave marked unknown next to Arch Stanton? All right, it's an old movie from the 60s. Call 888-912-1190. First caller with the correct answer is going to win that tanning certificate. And want to make a mention here for Palio Restaurant, which is serving downtown San Francisco since 1990. It's been voted, it's no surprise that it's been voted best Italian restaurant in the SF Weekly this year. Palio has consistently been voted one of the best restaurants in San Francisco by San Francisco locals. Open Monday through Saturday. Reservations are recommended. Visit paliosf.com. That's PALIOSF.com. All right, stay with us. You are listening to The Best of Investing. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guest, Greg Galasso, who is a commercial real estate broker in the Silicon Valley. Here's our first trivia question for the tanning certificate. In what movie is $200,000 of Confederate gold buried in a grave marked unknown next to Arch Stanton? Do you remember the name of that movie, Greg? Think Clint Eastwood. It's kind of unless you think about it, you wouldn't know. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
For a few dollars more?
Yeah, no. This one was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Remember, because he's talking to the ugly, and he goes, this grave is marked unknown. It goes next to Arch Stanton. That's where the gold was. Okay. Oh, that one was kind of a hard one. All right. So we are in the studio via Zoom with Greg Galasso, who is a commercial real estate broker. And we're talking so far about the industrial space that's in the Silicon Valley. And, I was going to ask you that, what about all the potential exiting from California that you hear about? Has any of that affected the Silicon Valley or specifically the industrial area?
Certainly has not impacted the industrial area. Not at all, because all segments of the industrial are still growing. We're seeing demand on all different types of products, sizes, from multi-tenant spaces to the large-scale warehouses. Real strong demand with the pressure on pricing. It's going up. So we're not seeing the exodus causing any issues as it relates to the industrial sector.
Okay, so that kind of moves on to the
all.
next one, though, which is what's happening with lease rates just in general in the Silicon Valley, and have the industrial space demand pushed the office and R&D space higher because of just the accumulation of the industrial space getting low vacancy.
They're not really connected, in terms of how those prices are impacted. Each market stands on its own. Okay. We are seeing an increase and an uptick in the office markets. A lot more people are getting out and touring as companies are beginning to plan their returns in full. We're seeing more hybrid returns. But a lot of people are anxiously awaiting the return to the office on a full-scale basis. But right now, I think the situation is such that there's caution. That situation is very fluid.
So, well, let me ask you.
We're seeing that people want to return, but they're just being cautious.
And if they return back to the office, will there be, this 6 feet of separation type of situation where they're going to give people more space? their employees.
Yeah, that's what we are hearing. We're doing that here at Colliers, but we've always sort of had that just generically. That was sort of our culture. We've got a decent amount of space. Like there's nobody within 10 feet of me, for example.
Okay.
And I'm in an open area in a cube. We were already prepared for it 2 months after the initial, the lockdowns that happened originally back in 2020. So our offices were pretty set up.
Once people start going back to work, it's not going to go to where it was, let's say in 2018, where you have cubicles and everybody's really close to each other. They're going to have more separation, don't you think?
Yes, they will, and they'll have that in terms of their way their office furniture set up. There'll be shields, things like that to keep the employees protected. But it's definitely something that's part of the plan to return to office. Is how that work place is set up.
I wonder how.
So it's definitely.
Yeah, I wonder how long they'll have the shields, and will we ever quote get back to normal, or is this for the next 10, 20, 30 years going to be like this? Any indication from your prospective tenants?
No. We don't have really any indication on that type of a horizon. I think that the more immediate is what's at the forefront of the thinking, and just trying to make sure they're providing a safe workplace. That's generally the concern. The good news about Silicon Valley is there is a lot of concern for the employees, and so as I see people and I talk with them, I say, how are you guys doing? And a lot of them, teams are going in on, staggered days.
Yeah.
And then they have plenty of space. So we haven't seen too many situations where it's a full staff. So, when I drive around and go look at properties, you don't see a lot of cars in the parking lot necessarily.
And haven't they talked about, initially they were talking about coming back to work January, and then I think they pushed it off to September, and then are they pushing it back off to this next January of like people coming back a lot more, quote, full time? At some point they're going to ask.
A lot of them are. Yeah, and I just think that, as the COVID situation was doing better, I think that people were really in that plan to make it happen. And then Delta rears its head, so now everybody's just being still quite cautious, because I guess that's a lot more infectious than regular COVID.
I'll tell you what, we're going to continue on. We're going to cut to a quick break and we'll continue on. Second trivia question. Tabitha was a spin-off of what popular TV show? Call 888-912-1190. First caller with the correct answer is going to win that tanning certificate. Stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back.
It's unbelievable.
Welcome back to The Best of Investing. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guest, commercial real estate broker Greg Galasso in the Silicon Valley. So, Greg, let's see if you know the answer to this trivia question. Tabitha was a spinoff of what popular TV show? What's the name? What's the answer? Bewitched. That is correct. Good job. So you're batting 500. So I want to make a quick mention here for the Portola Hotel and Spa, which is in the Monterey area. The AAA 4-diamond Portola Hotel and Spa voted among the top 10 hotels in Northern California by Condé Nast Travelers readers. They are a LEED certified hotel, and they reflect unparalleled modern coastal luxury in downtown Monterey, featuring 379 newly renovated guest rooms and 60,000 feet of meeting space with the adjacent Monterey Conference Center. They are a pet-friendly hotel, and they have several on-site award-winning amenities, including spa on the plaza. They're located steps away from Fisherman's Wharf on Cannery Row, and it's all right there at the Portola Hotel and Spa. And for more information, visit portolahotel.com. All right, so Greg, we've been talking about commercial real estate, primarily in the Silicon Valley. What things could cause slowdowns?
The biggest concerns, I think, and a slowdown is the availability of materials for the construction industries.
It's supply chain.
That and then the cost thereof. Supply chain is definitely a concern. So the good news is a lot of the vendors here are pretty good purchasers, so they have the ability to try to get things going more their way of the available products, and the demand has been pretty consistent. It does cause delays. The other thing is a lot of the cities are not fully back at the office, and so the plan checks and things of that nature are taking longer than they have in the past, as these different agencies are working remote. So it does cause a little bit longer to get your permits and things of that nature. So we're adding additional time onto the timelines, a few months to maybe as many as 5 or 6, depending on the complexity of what's being constructed.
Gotcha. And are you seeing the rental rates increase on all levels? Office, R&D, and warehouse as well as industrial. Are you seeing increases in all rents?
I think that the on new product, yes. The rates have gone up, mostly because the cost to produce it now is more than it was. So therefore, to provide returns that were commensurate with normal investment, that they're doing it based on a higher cost. So those costs have pushed up the lease rates. The and companies prefer the newer ones. So we're seeing a lot of older buildings getting completely renovated and updated, modernized, much more energy efficiencies, which the companies like. They're looking for LEED certifications at a minimum, if not even net zero. So that drives up costs, and a lot of the corporate users are wanting that. They want that designation on their properties.
Can you give us a range?
And with not a lot of activity, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know it's kind of hard because we're a little bit out of sync with our computers, and I get it. So I'm trying to let the audience know that sometimes you can hear me in time, and sometimes you can't. Could you give us a range of rental rates in the different markets? Office and in R&D, and I know it's going to be different in Fremont than it is in Palo Alto.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah. Like for example, and I think on the office, let's stick with like the Class A product.
Okay.
So some of the major markets, San Jose Airport, for example, the rents are in the low 4s on a full service basis. And those are generally, the buildings that have been at the airport that have all undergone significant upgrades, and that activity's picked up. When you go up the peninsula, as you start moving up, of course, everything is more expensive. Santa Clara is probably another, I would say it's about another 15 to 20% more than San Jose. And I think that continues all the way up until you get to Palo Alto, which is the most expensive. And those rents are probably double what the San Jose rates are, if not even more, depending on how new
$8 to $9 to $10 per
is.
square foot is what I'm hearing then. $8 to $10 a square foot. Wow. That's for AAA office. What about Class C?
They're different. And the C buildings, I think people are looking for some of those to, just to still be in a great location, and have it be a lot more affordable. So, I mean, I have a couple of those listings myself, and we're almost fully leased on those. Rents are more like in the $2.50 to $3 range in San Jose, and then similar increases on the way up, maybe not quite as much in terms of the leaps that I spoke of earlier, but definitely it just bumps up as you go all the way up to Palo Alto. And Milpitas lags, and Fremont's actually done really well because of the Tesla factor. A lot of people want to be there and support that company, and so that's really caused a lot more demand.
Didn't Tesla move to? Oh, you know what? Hey, we got to hold on before we get into that. We got to get to our next commercial break here. Third trivia question: what actor played Bill the Butcher in the 2002 movie Gangs of New York? You have to have seen the movie to know this. Call 888-912-1190. First caller with correct answers to win that tanning certificate. Stay with us. The Best of Investing is going to be right back. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Greg Galasso, our special guest. And our last trivia question, actually, it's not last time for today because we're going to have one more small segment after this. Here's our third trivia question. What actor played Bill the Butcher in the 2002 movie Gangs of New York? Did you see the movie? You have to have seen the movie.
A long time ago.
Oh, okay.
I did, and I don't recall.
Can't remember. Okay, Daniel Day-Lewis.
I'm gonna have to reduce my average.
That's right. Yeah, you're down to 333. Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis played him, and Cameron Diaz was in there as well as Leonardo DiCaprio, but he played Bill the Butcher. All right. So before we cut the break, I was asking about Tesla because there was news that they were moving their headquarters to Texas. But off the air, you were mentioning to me about that they're still keeping a huge presence in California.
Yeah, they have significant amount of square footage here throughout Fremont and now other cities as well. So I think maybe it's just the HQ that's moving, but they still have a significant footprint here in Silicon Valley.
But the HQ, though, I mean, that's got to be a lot of
talent.
How much square footage was their headquarters? That's pretty. It was pretty.
Not 100% sure how big it was. I think it was about 300,000 square feet.
Okay, I mean, that's
but yeah, they have millions of square feet here still, millions.
Okay. Do you think after
and they're still looking?
Do you think after moving the headquarters that they'll start moving the plants over there too?
They'll continue to keep a footprint here, and I think a significant one. It's the talent pool that's here. It's second to none, and I don't see them deserting California.
Okay.
But they're growing all over the place. it's not just California where they have facilities. I know that they recently purchased a significant parcel in Texas, but I don't know if that's simply for manufacturing. But I've gone by some of their dealerships, and there's no cars.
Yeah.
I mean, they're selling them as fast as they can make them.
Well, it's interesting. That's supply.
So they're still doing extremely well.
Yeah, we've it's been all in the news about supply chain. So that's hit cars. I mean, it's hit everything. It's just kind of crazy because we lost a seat in Congress because of people moving out of California, and you wonder, is that going to continue? And if it does, how many people are going to move from the Silicon Valley? But I guess we still have the weather so far, and that's kind of what keeps people in California, and that's why you said we have the biggest talent pool, right?
Yeah, I don't think anybody minds. We pay a lot of taxes in California, and I don't think people mind paying the weather tax. They don't mind it. So,
interesting. Because I was going to ask about this. This kind of goes. This goes off script from commercial real estate, but there was a situation with Congress not too long ago where with Janet Yellen and Biden and everybody who's in power, they were going to make the banks, it appeared they were going to make the banks report to the government, i.e. the IRS, if there was more than $600 worth of transactions in a bank account, like a year, not just 600 per transaction. And I mean, I can't imagine how much wasted talent of IRS is going to be spent on trying to chase ghosts, so to speak, because not everybody's cheating on their taxes who has more than $600 worth of transactions. Now it looks like they're backing down on that and potentially just doing like maybe up to $10,000, but even that still seems a little bit too much Big Brother, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was glad to hear that they were backing off, because I thought, shoot, sometimes you buy certain things with cash, or you go to the bank and you get cash and you're thinking, geez, am I going to get flagged? Yeah. So, it's just going to increase everybody's need for really good record keeping. And I'm glad that they're backing off. That seemed like it was just way too much of an overreach. So I'm glad to hear that that's going to hopefully peel all the way back.
Right now, I mean, the law is that
$10,000
or more of cash, you have to fill out a report. But if there's but if they were going to say that you have to, the $10,000 of any transaction, it doesn't have to be cash. You're talking about writing checks too. But that's just, the audit on that would just be redonkulous. There wouldn't be enough people to audit anybody really on that. So I thought that was kind of crazy, but I'm glad that they're backing off on that. What else can you tell us about? Yeah, you sound very calm. You don't seem like you're worried at all about commercial real estate in the Silicon Valley.
Everybody that I know of right now is very busy. Yeah. There's a lot of activity in all sectors. So I think that the future's still bright for Silicon Valley. It's a really special place in the globe to be. It's dynamic. There's still people coming here. You look at the house prices and you're just going, oh my gosh, that's incredible.
One thing it's got going for it too is, if you think about it, the traffic, because some people are working from home and not going into the office as much. I got to think the traffic hasn't been so bad. Is that right?
I mean, it's rare you have any traffic. I mean, I still have to go around and go check out my properties and go to meetings here and there. And it's very rare that you have to really factor in those time delays for the traffic. You just don't have to do it. Once in a while now, the 101 is starting to back up again.
Yeah.
And you've experienced that, but
well, you remember
it's not as bad as it was.
2004, after .com turned into .bomb, it was kind of a ghost town. I mean, you didn't have to worry about traffic at all. It was a little nerve-wracking, actually. But it seemed like
it was.
Yeah, but that was kind of, I guess, stupid money going after a lot of these startups, whereas they seem to have kind of brought it down a little bit to earth and not just throwing money at anything. Maybe that's kind of a huge difference. And who knows what's going to happen.
A lot of them didn't even have products. We didn't even touch on life science and how much that's gone in Silicon Valley and San Francisco Peninsula. Just incredible what's gone on in that industry as well. So that's just another one that's really done incredibly well.
We'll continue on. All right, stay with us. The Best of Investing will be back with some closing comments. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guest, Greg Galasso, who's a commercial real estate broker with Colliers. And all this time, we forgot to mention, how do people get a hold of you, Greg, if they have questions about what's going on in the Silicon Valley?
I have multiple ways of someone getting a hold of me. I've got office line here, which is 408-282-3816. My email, which is greg.galasso, Galasso, @colliers.com. That's another good way. And, always happy to talk with people and see if I can answer any questions that they might have, help them. So sure. All of those work on the website. You can find me on the website for Colliers as well.
And I got to say, I got to give you a personal plug because Greg's been my broker for 20 years now, and you've done me right.
Yeah, a really long time.
Yeah, I know, and I really appreciate you because I found you to be incredibly smart and incredibly honest, and those are two very good attributes to find in a commercial real estate broker. So I can't recommend you highly enough. And that's I really appreciate you coming on and giving us some good information here about the Silicon Valley. It's actually kind of better than I thought because I wasn't sure what was really going on. With COVID and people exiting out of California and all that, but it sounds like things are actually looking up in the Silicon Valley. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Especially in our sector, the commercial industrial sector is healthy, and it's good, and people still want to be here and take advantage of all of the talent that's here, and I think people want to be in California, and it's still an extremely dynamic place to work. And it's fun. I got a lot of nice people here. We learn stuff every day.
And on a personal level, if anybody has golf questions, can they call you on that too?
Yeah, sure. I'm always willing to talk golf.
Yeah, of course. Are you still touring? Are you touring in the seniors?
I have one more event coming up this year down in LA for the California State Amateur for seniors. Okay. Now that I'm old.
Now you're old, yeah.
I get to participate in that. Now that I'm old. But no, I still enjoy it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm still decent at it. As long as I can compete and have fun. That's what it's all about.
You're quite humble because a lot of people who don't know you don't realize how good a golfer you really are. And so they should look you up and they'd be quite impressed, I'm sure. All right, so Greg Galasso from Colliers, talking commercial real estate, and we're going to cut out for our thoughts for the day here. Thank you again for joining us on the Best of Investing. And here are our thoughts for the day. I'm great at multitasking. I can waste time, be unproductive, and procrastinate all at once. That's pretty good talent, huh? And I can't believe I got fired from the calendar factory. All I did was take a day off. But I kind of figured you'd like that. We always have to have some levity here, especially when we're talking business on the Best of Investing. So with that, we are going to say our adieus. For the audience, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.